For anybody who doesn't know, my name is Dixie Einett, and I'm Rosie's big sister. That's the reason I can boss her around. And I'm also Erin's aunt. Erin was born at Tipton Hospital on December 7th, 1974, to his parents, Stephen and Rosemary McNew Epp. I worked the 3 to 11 shift at the hospital in the emergency room that day. And after my shift was over, I went upstairs to the waiting room in the maternity ward, and I sat with Steve and waited for Erin to be born. Now, Erin being Erin, of course, he didn't make it easy. He decided to come into the world shoulder first, which was a great deal of discomfort for his mother. When he did arrive, though, Erin was a happy and a sweet baby, and I remember dressing him and putting him in his new car seat to drive him and Rosie home from the hospital. Erin's parents were separated at that time, but they were both thrilled with their little guy. Erin was welcomed into the world by both the Epp and the McNew families. Although he spent more time with his grandparents McNew, his grandparents Epp and his dad's 3 sisters adored him. He was the only grandchild of their family. When he was little, Rosie and I both worked at Tipton Hospital, but she worked the day shift and I worked the afternoon shift. And so we were able to kind of share my son Christopher, who was 4 years older than Erin, and Erin. And a lot of times we'd meet at the time clock at the hospital and hand the kids off. It was so nice that we could both watch both of the boys. I loved Erin. He had the blondest hair and the biggest dark eyes, and he was so smart and curious and creative. He wanted to know how and why everything functioned. He was the only child I ever knew that could take apart an indestructible metal Tonka truck. But he did. He wanted to know how it worked. He also was a creative storyteller. One day I picked him up from Country Charm preschool, and he said, "I got in trouble today. I was dancing on the table," and I was appalled. I worried about it all evening, but the next day when I went in and asked his teacher about the incident, she said it hadn't happened. That 3-year-old scamp had fooled me totally. Erin had several respiratory issues as a little boy, but he loved school and he learned everything quickly. When Erin was 7, Rosie took him to the emergency room when he complained of stomach pain. After doing some testing, it was discovered that his blood sugar was extremely high, and he was sent to Riley Hospital for Children in Indianapolis. I visited him at the hospital, and we walked the halls of Children's ward, and there were posters from the zoo lady that had come to visit on the wall of different animals. And he told me that they were endangered species. And he said, "I am too." And I said, "What do you mean, Erin?" And he said, "I could die if I don't have insulin." Rosie and Erin quickly learned all about blood sugars, insulin, and diet. It was difficult for a little boy to be restricted, and sometimes he would eat something he shouldn't have because he didn't want to be different from the other kids. He would always confess, though, that he had cheated on his diet. That was Erin. He always told on himself. Erin was always active, always thinking. He acquired information from everyone he met. My husband, Terry, had talked to him about collecting old coins. So when Erin played Pee Wee baseball, the teams gathered on the field with the coaches and the umpire for a coin toss. One of them pulled out a coin, flipped it in the air, and it landed on the ground. All of a sudden, we heard this little voice saying, "Check the date." He wanted to make sure that it was not a collectible coin that was going on the ground. Needless to say, we've had a lot of laughs over that over the years. Rosie remarried, and soon she and Danny provided Erin with 3 little sisters. Erin liked being a big brother and was protective of his little sisters. The family lived in Goldsmith and various houses in the country, which made it difficult for social bug Erin to spend time with his school friends. Then his best friend was his old English sheepdog named Teddy. Erin loved Teddy, and Teddy was devoted to Erin. Teddy did have a bad habit, though. He liked to chase automobiles and trains. Eventually that bad habit did him in, but Erin always had a soft spot in his heart for Teddy, and for years he had a statue of a sheepdog in his home. Erin was so smart and eager to learn. He always seemed to have many friends. He was a good big brother, and he was a great cousin. Erin loved movies and playing Atari video games. One of his favorite games was an E.T. game. It was so simple compared to what the kids are playing now. Erin played soccer and was on the wrestling team in school. He developed a great talent for skateboarding. He was daring and committed to be the best skater he could be. He later was so proud to tell me that all 3 of his children skateboarded. He also learned to break dance at an early age, and he was good. To break dance was close to being an acrobat. Erin had all the moves and even entered the Mr. Pork Loin contest at the Tipton Pork Festival one year. His talent, breakdancing. Throughout his life, Erin loved nice things: shoes, clothes, watches, jewelry. He liked to look good. Erin's hair was always interesting. It was a way to express himself, and as you can see from his pictures on the TV, we were never sure what color or style it would be. Often I was shocked by it, but Rosie would say, "It's only hair." Erin loved music and developed a huge talent for playing the drums. He played with a band, but would jam with anyone he could. Erin also loved to draw and paint. He developed friendships with others who also had a talent for art. He always wanted to be able to express himself. He had the gift of gab. He had strong, educated opinions. He listened to NPR radio, watched PBS television, and read. He liked poetry and history. He had a talent for photography. He was extremely proud in recent years that his daughter, Georgie, has become a wonderful photographer. He learned her cameras and took great pride in her and her talent. It pleased him that they had a shared interest and skill. He spent so many happy days visiting his Aunt Judy as a child, and later he would go back with his children. I was privileged to attend the family reunion twice. I was happy to see how much the relatives meant to him and how much they cared for him. Erin worked a number of jobs, starting as a kid washing dishes at the local eatery. Catfish Heaven? Is that what the name of it was?
Shavy's Catfish.
Or Sizzling Catfish?
Country Bob's. It was Country Bob's.
It was over on Sweetland Avenue.
It was JB's Catfish.
Okay. As a young adult, he worked at the Arcadia Children's Home, caring for mentally and physically handicapped young people. He loved that job and the people there. Erin was compassionate and kind and so genuine in his affection for them. He had met a co-worker that turned out to be the love of his life. Rhonda had been referred to by people as the female Erin Epp, even before they had met. They had so much in common and so much to share. Eventually, Rhonda moved to Washington, D.C. to work as a nanny. This was in the early days of cell phones. The difference between Erin and Rhonda was filled with cell phone calls. After $1,000 in cell phone overcharges, that helped to convince the couple that Erin should move east too. He found work and they settled into life together. On November 2nd, 1996, Julian was born. Just 6 days later, Rhonda, Erin, and Julian braved the rainy weather and ventured out for Julian's first doctor's checkup. Then they went to a lawyer's office in Alexandria, Virginia, and were married. Those kids were so happy and so very proud of their baby son. He was a beautiful baby. When they came back to Indiana in the spring, they were glowing. Both of their families were so happy for them. Eventually, Erin and Rhonda brought Julian back to Indiana to live, and on June 15, 1998, their daughter Georgie was born in Kokomo. She was precious, and Julian loved being a big brother. They settled into life in Greentown. Erin had a job at Conseco, wore a suit and necktie to work, and thrived. Erin loved being a daddy. He was so proud of his wife and his children. As it happens with couples who have strong personalities, sometimes life was not blissful, but the love was always there. On September 11, 2001, the Epp family lived in Tipton. Rhonda and Erin left Julian and Georgie at our house in Cicero and traveled to St. Vincent's Hospital to have their third child. Sonny was born on that fateful day. She was such a joy, the bright spot in a dark, dark day. Words can't express how much she was loved. The Epps moved to Bloomington, Indiana, and there the children grew. Erin had found employment there. Rhonda and Erin eventually separated, but they all moved back to north to Greentown and to Tipton. They shared parenting of their children. Erin's diabetes was never in control, even when he was an inpatient at the hospitals. That was a challenge. Then Erin woke up one day and was blind. That is how he was diagnosed with MS. His sight did come back, but his health was further compromised. At times he could only walk by using a walker. Other times he improved and he could walk with the aid of a cane. Other times he could navigate on his own, and sometimes he even tried to skateboard again. His doctors tried different medications to try to give him a good quality of life, but MS is difficult. One of the medications he was treated with had originally been a chemotherapy drug. Eventually he began having memory problems and more symptoms of that disease. Rosie became Erin's lifeline. When he was unable to drive anymore, she drove everywhere for him. She helped him in more ways than we can imagine. He lovingly referred to her as Mama. He trusted her, and he definitely realized how much she did for him. Rosie, you have faced this loss with dignity and with grace. I can't imagine the loss that you feel. Please know that so many people care. I miss Erin. I miss his tremendous hugs. I've never heard Erin complain about his health or his life. He always met me with a smile. He was so proud of his children. He loved sharing pictures of them, Julian's writings, and the children's accomplishments with everyone. He constantly praised Rhonda for how well she was raising the kids. He was aware of his shortcomings, but he always took responsibility for his mistakes or lapses in judgment. He loved people. He was long-winded and eager to visit with folks. When he couldn't get out of the house, he compensated by sending long text messages and phone messages and having even longer phone conversations. I would chuckle at how many words it took him to convey a simple thought. His messages were always interesting. He also discovered Facebook, and I'm pretty sure that sometimes he would write an argumentative post just to get a reaction from someone who would join in a discussion with him. I was with Erin right after he was born, and I was with him right after he passed. I loved Erin, and I am sure that he loved me. He always told me in Erin's style, I thank you, I appreciate you, and I value you. His gestures and his facial expressions spoke volumes. I know Erin would be so pleased that the people he loved have come together tonight. As long as we remember him, he will never be gone. Let's stay in touch and remember the good times that we had with him. It has been healing to hear stories about Erin. Please continue to share them with us now and in the days to come. There are some people that have some things to read, either their own or from some other people. We have family that's far away and couldn't be here. Kelly, almost my daughter-in-law, has a note from Rosie and my older sister, Virginia, who's in Phoenix and is unable to travel. Thank you.
Yeah, I actually have two messages I'm going to read. I'm going to read the first one. How do we do this?
I don't know. Michael.
Sorry, Mikey.
What did you do?
Daisy messed it up.
He's fixing.
Okay.
Take your iPhone. Put it on this side. It's for your iPhone. If we put electric current.
Don't touch it.
Are we okay? Yes. Okay. I'm going to read two messages from Erin's family in Scottsdale, Arizona, who weren't able to be here today. This first one is from his cousin Jimmy. In the summer of 1975, my parents went to Hawaii. Me and my sisters stayed at my grandparent McNew's house. Erin was just a baby, and I played with him that whole week or two. He was the only baby I ever spent that much time around. I told him that story. He was so adorable. Erin was a special soul, so I wish I could have spent more time with him. He was authentic, like me. Nothing fake about that man. We're a kindred spirits. This next message is from Erin's aunt, Rosie's sister Virginie. I will always remember when Erin was born. I thought it was cool that his mom was born on VE Day and Erin was born on Pearl Harbor Day. He was an active, precocious little boy who developed into an intelligent and very interesting man. He seemed never to see a stranger and could carry on a conversation with anyone. We were always aware of his diabetes. When he was a little guy, he once told my husband Med never to prick the end of your finger before a blood test, because if you later lost your sight, you would need your sensitive fingertips to be able to read Braille. That impressed us. One Christmas, I sent Erin a boombox when they were new on the market. I think I was as excited about that gift as he was. Then there was the Christmas they had a fire, and that broke my heart. My daughter, Patty, and I sent some of her twins' clothes, plus a few toys, tapes, and a VCR player. Erin was so proud of his children. He always talked about them. The last time I saw Erin, Mac and I were in Tipton and met Rosie and Erin for lunch. Part of the ritual was for Erin to test his blood sugar. We had a wonderful visit that I will always cherish. We all lost Erin too soon. I know the pain of a mother losing her child, especially her firstborn. I hope Julian, Georgie, and Sonny realized how much their father loved them. We all loved Erin. Anybody like to volunteer?
Yes, that's right.
Don't break the mic.
Don't touch the corpse.
I'm the one that set everything up. I tried to prepare something to say last night, and I decided to just kind of freewheel it because everything was too random of a story, and we all knew how he was, so I don't need to describe his personality. But he meant a lot to me and my siblings. He was always like the cool cousin we looked up to, and he was always there for us no matter what. If we needed something truly, or if we just needed to hang out and get into some trouble with someone we loved, he was always there for us. See, this is what was happening when I was writing last night, as I just kept coming up with random ass stories. He said some of the funniest things I'd ever heard, and he really did introduce me to skeptical thinking and truly analyzing every bit of information that was coming into my life to have a real picture on the world. And he gave me essentially my confidence. I work in the film industry, and I don't know if I ever would have the confidence to do so without him, because while my family would support me and my friends and my girlfriend would support me, he would, without ever seeing a bit of my work, he would introduce me as a film genius to everyone at the Junction or wherever we were. And that just is indicative of how he was. He loved everyone so much, and the last time I spoke to him, all we did was talk about the kids, how beautiful you all turned out, and intelligent and everything. And that truly is just where I should leave it, because that's truly what was like most important to him, was the kids and Rhonda. And whoever's next. Whoever would like.
Good evening. I didn't plan to do this, so I had random thoughts as well. I'm Judy Epp, Erin's aunt. I'm one of the few Epps in this room. There aren't many of us left now, unfortunately, although children, you have cousins in Noblesville, Westfield, San Francisco, and New Jersey. Check it out on Facebook. Okay, so these are just memories, just random memories that really stuck in my mind when I first heard the news about Erin's death. When he was little, maybe 6, 5, he went to his first Epp family reunion in Westfield. And all the little children were out playing in the barn, and he came running up to the house to me and he said, "Aunt Judy, these people all have my last name. Yeah, honey, it's an Epp family reunion. And they know how to spell my name. That was always concerning. Like, how can you not get Epp right? So the other memory was that he and his dad are so alike, and when I read Julian's tribute to his dad on Facebook, it's like, oh my God, it continues. They were so much alike it was uncanny. Which is of course why they butt heads as well. But they would wear you out with conversation. It's like, okay, I give. Okay, whatever you say, it's fine. I can't talk about this anymore. So, another random memory. I live on a lake in southern Indiana, and so Erin would come to visit often. And one winter weekend, we went down there, and he threw his bag in the back of the pickup truck, and when we got there, his insulin was frozen. It's like, oh crap, what do we do now? We live outside of Spencer, podunk little town. There was, at that time, one drugstore in town, so I called them to see if they were still open. Yeah, they're still open. I've got frozen insulin for this kid. I'll wait. Come on in. We got the insulin, thank goodness. We didn't have to drive all the way back to Indy. When he was about 14, I guess, for the first time, I let him get in a boat and go out on the lake. When he rounded the bend out of sight, I was almost panicked. What if his blood sugar got low when he's out there? What if he decided to go swimming and he couldn't get back in the boat? I can't see him. So I just did my best to keep calm, and sure enough, he showed back up. And many times as he got older, we had to use that same philosophy. Keep calm, he'll show back up, it'll be okay. I wasn't sure if I should tell this story, but some of you may know or may not know that Erin was in jail for a short period of time. He and a buddy, when they were teenagers or young adults, the timing is a little off for me, got caught and arrested for breaking into businesses and stealing stuff. So his brother, my brother, his dad, comes to me for bail money. I need to get him out of jail. I can't leave him in jail. I need to get him out of jail. Can you give me the money? I said, okay, come on over. I had the money. I said, now before I give you this money, I want to ask you something. Are you afraid for his health while he's in jail? You afraid they won't take care of him? He won't get his med? No. Well, then why do you want him out of jail? He broke the law. He got arrested. He ought to stay in jail. This was the same thing that when Erin was little and he would get in trouble, and my brother would tell me these stories, and he'd say, but he felt so bad. He should feel bad. He did something wrong. He's conning you. Stop it. So my brother took my advice and did not get him out of jail. And it was my fault. But Erin called him everything but dead. He was so mad at him. But he got over it, and as far as I know, he never got arrested or spent any more time in jail. As far as I know. We had so much fun at my sister Anita's on Father's Day. He would bring the children and Rhonda, and we would all gather at my sister's house on the south side of Indy for Father's Day. And Erin always wore long sleeves. It was June, middle of June, but he always wore long sleeves because he really didn't think that my dad, his grandpa, would approve of his tattoos all over his arm. So he's in long sleeves the whole time, just out of respect and no hassle from his grandpa. That was an interesting memory. And my favorite thing, last but not least, was to have Erin and his children coming to visit me at the lake. I remember one, I think it was in the spring, and my brother and Erin and the kids were staying at the trailer next door to me. And they came over and they wanted to go swimming so badly, and it was warm, but it was raining, and Sonny was little, and they just wanted to go swimming so badly. I said, well, it's not thundering and lightning, go swimming. So they put on their suits and they run down to the dock and they're slipping in the mud, but they went swimming and they just had the best time. It was just wonderful. So one of my favorite things is to have had his children come and do the same things that he did when he was their age. And I hope that the Epp children will continue to come visit their Aunt Judy. Thank you.
before I say anything, I just want to let you know I'm a horrible public speaker, so bear with me. But, I have a lot of good memories with Erin, starting off, when we were young, or I was young. I remember when I'd go to Aunt Rosie's house to hang out, I used to ask him about the poster of the baby in the pool with the dollar bill, how I discovered Nirvana at a young age. Because of him, I knew who Kurt Cobain was, and when Kurt Cobain died, I knew exactly who that was, and even though I was 7 years old, I was kind of disappointed. Anyways, I'm kind of rambling. And I remember as I got older, I got into Star Wars, and I remember that one Christmas, I got a ton of Star Wars action figures, and I was telling Erin about it. He's like, hey, I had that one when I was a kid. Or, yep, I had that one. I remember that character. It's kind of cool. I remember when I was about 13, Erin and I were talking about music, and I told him that I just got the CD Offspring's Americana. He's like, dude, I saw them live in like 1992 or something like that. So, that's, and he introduced me to a lot of good music over the years. We even went to a couple concerts like Leonard Skinner and Tom Petty. My sister even, made a joke that he would smuggle his insulin into a concert like people smuggling contraband. And, a lot of my best memories of Erin were in college. When I'd come home, I'd hang out with him. And he was one of those people you could do anything with. You could go hang out with his friends. He knew people everywhere. Like when we went to Tom Petty, I remember him running into a ton of people he knew from high school. Or you could we used to sit in his apartment and chain smoke till 5 a.m. watching 9/11 conspiracy videos and videos on Bohemian Grove, and he's just one of those people. Anytime that I talked to him, I came out feeling more intelligent, because he always had something interesting to talk about. I learned a lot from him. He taught me to think for myself, to question authority and stuff that you're reading. He helped me learn to critically think, and I haven't seen him much over the last few years, but I kept in touch with him on Facebook, and we trade back and forth, conspiracy videos and memes and stuff like that. And, I'm gonna miss him. He was one of my best friends, and he was more like a brother than a cousin to me.
Georgie, Erin's daughter. I'm reading for his sister, Jen. Okay.
Gooey. Yeah.
Gooey. Okay. We all know there are things better left unsaid, but my brother Erin is worth so much more than a few words. It's nearly impossible for me to think of life without him, and I'm deeply regretful that I couldn't be there to spend more time with him before he left us. However, even through his heartache, I find myself grateful for the time I did get to share with him. He came to see me recently. It had been nearly 5 years since I had seen him. It was amazing how he could light up my world and fill my heart and soul with a sense of joy and belonging. Sorry. A smile was all it took, and hugs I will never forget. There were so many things I wanted to do with him when I get to come home, but I'll have to take him with me in my spirit. I heard somewhere that it's impossible to love someone with whom you'd never laugh, and it's true. The hardest part is knowing I won't be able to hear his laugh again. Good thing I know exactly what it sounds like. Erin, I gotta be grateful that Mom brought you to see me. She kept me connected to you and how you were doing. I will always love and remember all the things you've taught me, from how to be less gullible to what good music really sounds like. You even taught me how to take a punch with a pillow tied around my torso, and it didn't really absorb the blow. My heart goes out to anyone who knew and cared for my brother. I want Julie and Georgie and Sonny to know that he loved them very much, and no one can ever take that away from you. Keep those good memories in your hearts. They were meant for you to keep. I only hope that with this loss, you all realize how important family is. Don't ever wait to show your family how much they mean to you. Sometimes we are all we currently have. From afar, I'm sending my love and thoughts to you all. Now and always, I love you, bro. P.S. Please listen to Cool Keith, the Black Elvis, for him.
Okay, I'm Sunny, Erin's daughter. Okay, yeah. My dad has taught me a lot of things, aside from Run DMC lyrics. Okay, skateboarding and how to set up a...
Oh, you got it. You got it. You got it. It's very good. It's okay.
Give me 5 minutes. Let me go to the bathroom.
Okay. Anybody?
Hi everyone, I'm Julian, I'm Erin's son. I wasn't really planning on saying anything, but I thought I would regret it if I didn't, so I'll be honest. Erin always said that he was honest to a fault, so I'm going to do the same for him. He wasn't the perfect father, but there were times where, he felt like he tried his best, and that's all that someone can give you. A lot of times, though, it felt like me, Georgie, and Sonny would take care of him rather than him take care of us. But, he would always be willing to reach out if we needed him. There were times where, Sonny or I would have to call 911 in the middle of the night when we lived with him, and that turned into random 4 a.m. text messages from him when I didn't live with him anymore. And it's strange to, after all that, to not think that he's not there to do that anymore. I'll wake up now and my phone's empty, and I just wonder if things could be different. Would I change anything and go back? And I hope I would, but we can't linger on those kinds of things. So I just want to say that I've gotten a lot of good things and I've gotten a lot of bad things from him, like my handwriting, which I'm trying to read right now.
That came from your grandpa, so
yeah. My money management skills, also awful. And my eyesight, which I'm not wearing glasses right now, so everyone in the back, I'm sorry, I can't see you. But the main thing that I got from him was his ability to fight and just keep going no matter what. He never gave up on anything, and even with MS, he would still try to skateboard, which is so stupid, but that was him. So if there's anything you can do to remember Erin, in my opinion, it's just keep fighting and keep doing what you want to do, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
Okay. Let's try this again. Okay. Thank you. My dad has taught me a lot of things. Aside from Run DMC lyrics, skateboarding, and how to set up a drum set, he has taught me discipline, how to forgive, and to never lose hope for the ones you love. I was my dad's best friend, and he was mine. Like a friend, he supported me, accepted me, and genuinely enjoyed my company. He never failed to brag about my siblings and I and say how proud he was of us. No matter what I did or how many times we argued, he still wanted me. He said he preferred my company over anyone else's. Sorry. He never, oh wait, I already read that. Okay, he understood me better than anyone else. Even if he was acting immature and I had to step up and play the parent, he never failed to make me laugh. I remember one time a few years ago, we were at my little cousin's birthday party at the Tipton Park. We were in the pavilion when one of her balloons got loose and floated to the top of the ceiling. My dad insisted on going way up and fetching the balloon by climbing on the wooden beams that held the ceiling together. As much as I wanted to resent him for risking his life for a balloon and a couple of laughs, I couldn't help but giggle. Needless to say, he got the balloon and came down safely. The things I used to hate are the things I miss the most. Thank you. The things I used to hate are the things I miss the most, like hearing Sonny Bunny, where are ya, from the other side of the store, getting called down to the school office for a quick hello and a kiss from him, knowing he got up at 6 a.m. and rode his bike from Tipton to Greentown to be able to see me on time, and receiving 4 a.m. and receiving calls and texts at 4 a.m. just so he could ask me about my day. It takes a lot to truly love someone unconditionally. No matter what he did or said, I will always love and forgive him, and he loves me just as much. Yes, he has made mistakes, but he flaunted his successes and his values the most. Very few things truly matter to me. Thus, my energy is toward those wee few things. Erin. Anybody?
I did something. I don't know. I'm just gonna stand there. I'm not trying to fix it.
Hi, my name's Ryan. I know Erin just through my dad. I've known him for about 13 years, and he really influenced me a lot, and he just was awesome, and I learned so much from him, and I met so many great people, a lot of them being here today. And I remember he worked at Pizza Shack, his Red Daytona, and my dad didn't like it too much that we were friends, and we hit it off more than him and my dad, and because my dad's a jerk and Erin's not. So my dad saw his car in the parking lot, windows rolled down, because he was carefree, you know. And so my dad rode by on his bike and lit 3 cigarettes and threw them in my dad's car, and didn't really do much, but you could tell someone had done that. And I mean, I knew it was my dad. I basically I was there to a Pizza Shack, and of course my dad denies it, but I tell Erin, and all we do is laugh about it, and he doesn't care, you know what I mean? So I just think he's awesome, and I miss him so much. I wish, like everybody else said, that I would have made more time for him in the end, but it is what it is. We can only just not dwell and think about the good times that we had and live our lives. So thank you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I turned it off.
All right, maybe that's why.
Thank you, Ryan.
Okay, I'm gonna try not to cry. And I hadn't been on Facebook, so I didn't know for a couple of days that this had happened. And I just, you know, there's nothing I can do about it now, but I just, you know, like everybody else, you know, don't want to hold on to that. We hadn't really hung out with him as much, but he did send me, like a couple weeks before it happened, I missed my best friend through Facebook, because him and I had been, you know, I was his girl best friend. And Michael's, if he's still here, Mike might remember the day that I learned how to do my first ollie. Erin spent probably a good 5 hours. Mike could only stay for about an hour. He had his hot pink trick bike. He was cool. But I just want you kids to know how much your dad always said he loved you guys, and how much he would show me things that you guys did or your writing. And well, yeah, because the one that you just put on there about your dad, that I just couldn't quit crying on that. But I just want to share that he's a great person. You know, him and I have been best friends since like 6th grade, and I wouldn't change anything in the world what I had with him. I just wish I had more time.
Yes. I'm Amy Griffith, and that's how whenever Erin or Rhonda or their kids see me, they say, "Hey, Amy Griffith." I got used to, on Christmas Eve, having Erin show up sometimes at our house, and it was always it always made me feel really nice that he thought that way about me, because for a while I thought he didn't. But maybe it was just my husband that he really came to see, but I don't think so. I think he liked both of us equally. Things that I remember about Erin are that he always smelled really good. He smelled extremely good. You could talk to him about any kind of subject, and he would have some knowledge of it. He was just one of the smartest people I know, one of the most artistic. Rhonda was a perfect other side for him. They were, like yin and yang, I guess, if that's a good thing. It was. But I will miss him very much, as I know my husband does. And you children all got a lot of great things from your dad, and also your mother. And I'll miss him. Thanks.
Oh, and I forgot. He is the reason why I turned my sound off that night on my phone.
All right. It's on. No. Okay. I'm Erin's other cousin, Katie. There seem to be a lot of us, the Scots and the Irish, man. Kids are awesome. Honestly, I never got to know you all that well. I'd see you when you were doing dishes at Sid's, because your mom's awesome and she made you work. I remember Georgie hated me when she was little. But she posts a lot of cool memes, so she's cool now. Like my brother said, Erin and all of my cousins we really looked up to you. You were the cool kids. Now we're all cool. We'll go with that. Erin was a skater. He liked to break dance. He was crazy. And best of all, he listened to music that pissed every adult around us off. So, I totally remember going over to my grandma's house when he was staying there, and he took the batteries out of his blood testers for his Walkman. I thought it was hilarious, even though I was 6, because everybody was mad at somebody, and it wasn't me. That was about the time my grandma lost her seeing. She'd always been deaf, so we're a really special family. But I remember she actually baked a pan of brownies, and when you say there's something special in the brownies, we think something different. She actually baked a spoon into it, but Erin still ate them. And I remember going over to their house and annoying him by going in his room and seeing what cool teenage kids did, and the walls totally being decorated with album covers. I continued that tradition. I think that's the first time I saw the cover of Nevermind, and then became obsessed with Nirvana. Actually, when I was making these notes, my brother and I were totally listening to Unplugged. So that's cool. And actually, we've mentioned the house fire. After that, he showed up my next birthday. He just showed up. That's just what he did. There were never plans. It was just hey, there's Erin. Cool, we're gonna have fun. He would pull whatever was in the room together and make a drum kit and jam out in my garage. It was awesome. But he showed up that birthday with a single from my favorite band. And he was this survived the fire. I can't promise if it even plays, but it was in the middle of the shelf, so it has a good chance. I was awesome, and it totally did play. But for somebody to have so little, to know that that would mean so much, meant a lot. I'm doing exactly what I said I wasn't gonna do, but I guess to be fair, he did that a lot too. So, yeah, I mean, that's what I want to take. Like, take Erin into your life. Like, make it positive. Annoy the shit out of somebody with a 4 a.m. text. Definitely just be friendly to anyone you meet. And when you have nothing, give it. And you don't know how much that will impact somebody. So, love you guys.
We can continue talking about Erin, but we're going to do it over food. There's a buffet of nutty bars and Diet Mountain Dew. Help yourself. There's other stuff over there if you're normal, too. And thanks for coming. Hang out. Talk to the kids. Oh, wait, hold up. Oh, wait.
Hi. My name's Michael. I grew up here. Erin was my best friend for 30 years. The day he died, when Rhonda called me, ripped a hole in my heart that can never be filled. But I'm glad it's there because it'll help me remember him. I was laughing. I think this was supposed to start at 6:30 and run a little late, and you know, Erin would say if I'm 30 minutes late, I'm 20 minutes early. So there you go. The thing about Erin is, you know, when people pass, they say that, you know, they broke the mold with that one. What I like to say about Erin is there was no mold. I don't think there was ever anyone like him. I don't think there would be another person like him. He had such a big heart. He had so much love, and he gave it to everybody. I always joke, he didn't just wear his emotions on his sleeve. I mean, they were on fire. And he had 1,000 sleeves, and he gave them to everybody, you know. And I think you've heard some of those stories here about how much he just loved to talk to people. But it wasn't just talking to people for entertainment's sake. He wanted to hear your whole story, unabridged. He'd hang on every word. He'd tell you something about himself. He'd ask you more about you. And he just loved life, and he loved people. And I know he was, you know, dealt a crappy hand of cards, and sometimes Erin turned those over in the wrong way on his own. But he made the most of it. And when he was young, he was an artist. He painted. He liked to take pictures. He skateboarded, which is a very creative thing to do, which is why we did it, because it was one escape from all the crap that was around you. And as he got older, it was harder for him to paint, do the things that he liked to do. And in those times when we would hang out and he'd get really upset that he couldn't do those things, things I'd tell him is, you know, people are your art. You go out there and you talk to people, you get these things, these emotions out of people that they didn't even know they had in them. I mean, to me, that's the true definition of an artist if I've ever heard one. We could use more Erin Epps running around this planet. I don't know how many. I don't think we have enough 64-ounce soda cups with Diet Coke to support them all, but we could use a few more. Sonny, Georgie, and Julian, you know a lot of people say Dad was so proud of you. He was. But the reason he was proud of you is because he was in awe of you, and he was impressed by what you guys had done. And that made him happier than anyone could ever be, and any parent would feel that way. So it wasn't just like he was bragging because these were my kids, this is what I've done. It wasn't that. He was impressed with what you guys have done. And I know there was a little part of him that wished he could have done that. And I see all of the good things that were in him, in you guys, and that made him so happy. So I'm very sorry for your loss. And I know he can't be replaced. And frankly, I don't want to replace him because like Julian said, I have good memories and I have bad memories and 30 years of that crap. And I'm glad I have it all now. I really am. I get to look back, I get to laugh, be pissed off. It's like he never left. So, Rosemary, I see you hiding. Just want to thank you for having my best friend and bringing him into this world. And I have great memories of us just sitting in your kitchen. And you know, Erin and I, Lord knows what we were doing, talking, and you would just laugh and roll your eyes at us. And we'd go out the door and come back and tell you more stories. And yeah. And you'd make us something to eat and just something to drink and roll your eyes some more and walk in the other room. And I just wanted to thank you for having Erin and letting him be my friend. And you were like another mother to me. And those great memories. And Rhonda. I can only imagine how you feel. I know how I feel, and I know you probably feel 100 times worse than that. I would always tell Erin, you know, because I love him to death, if you had breasts and a vagina, I'd marry you. But then I would say, well, you break a really ugly woman, and he'd laugh, be like, yeah, you'd probably be better looking. I'd be like, well, we'd probably be on the Jerry Springer show in 6 months because you'd be dating some hermaphrodite in Arizona. So it'd never work out. I think that's a compliment. But you know what I'm saying. I can't say enough about him, and I know you got to share great times with him, and you have 3 wonderful kids that I know you're proud of in the same way that Erin is. The other thing I want to say is these past couple years, you know, many years, Erin would brag about the mother that you were and how you raised your kids, and he was very proud of that. Because I know there were a lot of things he probably wanted to do that he couldn't do. And you had to do those things. And, you know, there was comfort in that for him. And I could see that. To the rest of his family, I recognize some of you, some I've never met. I'm sorry for your loss as well. And I think we've heard all the stories about how great Erin is. And the thing is, he never met a stranger, so there are 1,000 times as many people out there that Erin touched their lives, and so many that we'll never even know. The attendant at the gas station, some guy on a bus between Indianapolis and Kansas City that he became best friends with in 3 hours. Who knows? But that's what I'm saying. I mean, a guy like Erin is replaceable, and maybe we all need a little bit more of that because he didn't see any enemies. You know, he only saw friends. That was it. So I'll miss him. Always miss him. Can't replace a guy like that, nor would I want to. But I'm glad to see everyone come together and remember him because he was a special person. So that's it.
Mom, Jake.
I do my best not to fall. I'm Jake Henry. Erin and Mike rolled into my life in the summer of 1989, literally on skateboards. We've been friends ever since. Well, with a few breaks for stupid fights that really probably don't matter. Definitely don't matter. Didn't matter then. Definitely don't matter now. The kids I know, like, all he ever talked about with me was how great you guys were, and now I know he's right. You know, all I know is, you know, everybody take the time, be good to each other, love each other, and stay alive.
Okay, it's on.
I'm Rhonda's mom, and Julian, Sonny, and Georgie are my grandchildren, and if Erin ever doubted that he did something right, he gave us 3 of the most beautiful, talented children you could ever want. But also he taught, years ago, Erin was very respectful of everybody. I mean, he helped me move one time into my trailer. It was like 99 degrees outside, but he was afraid it would offend me if I seen all the tattoos. So he wore long sleeves. He had to be burning up, but he wore long sleeves so I wouldn't see him. But I just want you to know that I have a lot of good memories of your dad. And you guys are great. Rhonda's great. And I'll miss him. And I know that you will too.
Okay. You guys can talk to me over the nutty bars. Be over there. Okay. Thanks for coming.
Oh my god, that's a lie. I did all.